Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to welcome back Senator Ron Wyden. Senator, good to see you again.
Good to be with you.
All right, we got a lot of issues to cover here. Let's start with federal timber payments. We just recently saw those cut dramatically. Does this look like we're going to be able to turn this around and get Oregon more money?
I certainly hope so, and I wrote this law back in 2000. It's arguably the most important law I've written for our state. It's brought more than $2.5 billion to Oregon for basic services, schools and roads and police. And my view is there's an opportunity now for a bipartisan agenda. It consists of first trying to get the harvest up, and that is so important. My legislation, which had bipartisan support in the Senate, would double the harvest for decades and decades, and that's an opportunity for good paying jobs in hard-hit, resource-dependent communities. Then we have to have the safety net, and that's my timber payments law. I have not seen any projection that indicates that we can get the harvest up alone so as to not need those safety net payments. So number one, get the harvest up. I think the Oregon delegation is behind it. We can do that in a sustainable way. And second, we need to reauthorize on a bipartisan basis the timber payments law that I wrote in 2000.
All right, you just had a couple town halls over the weekend, Grants Pass and Klamath Falls, 700 of them now. Congratulations. Have you ever taken some of those ideas you've learned from these and put them to work in D.C.?
You bet. The Internet Tax Freedom Law, for example, another very important law that I wrote for our state in 1998. Number one, it came when the Democrats were in the minority, but that was one of the early ideas I got from home because we have a lot of small businesses, particularly here in this part of the state, that are trying to innovate. They're tech-based. They've got markets all over the country. There are more than 5,000 taxing jurisdictions. Without my Internet Tax Freedom Act, they could get clobbered by multiple and discriminatory taxes. And that was an idea that largely came from a town hall meeting that talked about some of the dangers of discriminating against our small businesses.
Talent-based Bramo Motors, famous for its electric motorcycles, has sold that portion of their business to a motorsports powerhouse, Polaris. One publication says many of these jobs are moving to Iowa. Does that concern you?
Obviously, we want to keep as many good-paying jobs in our state as possible. Now, as far as I can tell, this is an evolving story. There seem to be developments every few days. It does look like they're keeping some of the very valuable areas of commerce that can be good for creating jobs like batteries here, but we're going to pay a lot of attention to that story. And one of the reasons why I want to get tax relief for our small businesses is Oregon, and particularly this part of the state, is overwhelmingly a small business state. And if we can get some certainty and predictability for small business, I think that'll attract more good paying jobs.
Very good. We're going to take a break. Much more with Senator Wyden in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Senator Ron Wyden. Senator, ISIS, where do we go from here? What's next?
Look, we're obviously dealing with really cold-blooded killers, and I have supported the death penalty for terrorists. I've supported, for example, stiffening the penalties for anybody who leaks classified information that puts our intelligence personnel at risk. So I'm for very strong measures here. But I want to support measures that work. And for example, we got bin Laden without torture. And John McCain and others have pointed out that what's at stake are American values. We got the architect of 9/11 without torture. So let's concentrate on steps that are effective. And clearly, today's announcement, apparently with the British and the United States working together, is a good one. But I certainly don't support the government in effect requiring companies to build back doors into people's personal property. I don't think that's in line with the Fourth Amendment.
And how do you think your work on curbing the NSA and its data collection policy will be affected, if at all, by a switch to a Republican-dominated Senate?
What I can tell you, Greg, is when we started this effort, the number of us who felt that we could fight terror ferociously without giving up our privacy and our liberties with these mass surveillance programs. There were only a handful of us. We got 58 votes in the United States Senate on the last vote, showing that more and more legislators, like more and more Americans, understand that liberty and security are not mutually exclusive. We can have both. So I think that this issue will continue to be a bipartisan one, and obviously and we've certainly seen this in the last couple of months. We have got to fight terror ferociously, but as Ben Franklin said, anybody who gives up their liberty to have security really doesn't deserve either.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you're a duck.
Absolutely. I was at the game.
I know. Well, so what was it like to have to spell Ohio on the Capitol steps?
Well, I also pointed out it does take 2 O's to spell Ohio. So whenever
Nicely done, and thankfully it was short.
Whenever we get the O in there, but I can tell you, when we got to 21-20 in the third quarter, Duck hearts were beating very, very hard. We said, you know, this is classic Duck football. We always come on strong in the second half, and of course Ohio State was playing very, very well all night. Running back hit, I think, pretty close to 250 yards. But our message is, as Ducks, we will be back.
Very good, Senator. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Stay with us. We'll be right back.